Amen, church. Hope nobody got offended by the whole big island. I know. Island is a little sensitive. So we gotta sometimes tread lightly. You know, being in LA, I had to get thicker skin.
We know what's up.
And before I start, I gotta apologize. Being in LA for 12 years, I learned to speak very grammatically correct. Very proper English. But as soon as I landed and my father-in-law met up with us, pigeon just came out. And I'm like, yeah, right. And I was like, so don't mind, I'm going to kind of transform between the two languages. But,
pigeon's our first language.
That's right. Well, so I went back home and asked my wife when she was talking to her dad, I was talking to somebody, go, what language are these? Pigeon, I didn't realize it was that bad. Anyway, I'm really fired up to be here this morning. I spent a lot of time in Hilo because, I do a lot of music and stuff out there, but my father-in-law lives out here, and, flights out to Kona are actually not that expensive, so we might be coming out a little more to visit. The food. But just a little bit of background about myself. I grew up in Oahu, and in 1992 I was baptized in the Oahu Church of Christ. And we lived there for 36 years. In 1991, I met this awesome young lady at a nightclub that I was working at. And she magically became my wife about a year later. And it was awesome, man. And I think if it was not for her, I probably would have never stepped foot in a church. Because my lifestyle back then was, I've been a musician my whole life, DJing in nightclubs and, all these wholesome environments, so to speak. And, when we met, a friend of mine, I was DJing at a concert, and a friend of mine invited me out to church at a Run DMC concert. And I was like, oh, okay. I took it, put it in my pocket, went home. And got home, got my stuff on the table, threw the flyer out, passed out. Next morning, my wife wakes me up. She was my fiance at the time. She goes, hey, this is my church. Where did you get this from? Because apparently she had gone out to church before. She went to a campus UH Bible talk out there. And, they didn't know. And then she's like, she got a little scared. And she said, well, this is my church. I'm like, you want to go? I'm like, I'm not even sure if I believe in God. And then she freaked out. And I was like, okay, do that. So we went to the UH Bible talk. And you know what? It changed my life. That was 1991, where I wasn't even sure if I believed in God. It was a time in my life where I'm like, okay, I'm going to get married, I'm going to be a dad, living out on our own, adulting for the first time in my life. Why not try the God thing? And 27 years later, here we are, still doing the God thing. Like my wife alluded, we had our ups and downs. I've been involved in the music industry pretty much my whole life. I got to work at a small radio station on the road called FM 100 KCC. Did that for about 12 years. And then I played with a lot of different artists and musicians around the islands, guys like Fiji, Company. I was part of a little band called Sun and Rush. And it was awesome. And, I was blessed to have the opportunity to meet a lot of awesome musicians and stuff. And I don't share that to just kind of brag, but I had a realization when I was doing all of that stuff, and I was trying to have one foot in the kingdom, one foot in the music industry, and it doesn't work. It absolutely doesn't work. You cannot serve two masters. And I learned that the hard way, and my marriage took its toll, my walk with God took its toll, but gratefully, we're still here. We had people in our lives that cared enough to really pull us in through the challenging times, through the hard times, and that would be Ron and Tracy in LA. But I think at a certain point, I just needed to wake up, because we were traveling a lot, touring, and we got to see some great sights. Whenever we would travel to the other islands, we would stay in the nice hotels, and it's like we got a little spoiled. And I'm like, wow, all this, and yet my relationship with God was faltering. I was the religious guy in the band, so before every show I would pray, and that night we'd be out drinking, at the club, doing the worldly part. And I would go to church on Sunday, and come in, and it just didn't sit well with me after a while. And you know, the worldly side of me just, it always won. So this time, going back into it, I just kind of realized that, you know, I need to wake up about this. And, you know, it's hard. And like my wife said again, in 2006, we decided to move to LA to kind of detach from just a lot of the worldliness that I was affiliated with. I mean, she had a great job offer, and she was like, well, I'm either going to go to Maui, to New Jersey, or LA. And I'm like, well, I don't want to go to Maui. Jersey's too cold. LA is a little flight back to Hawaii. So we ended up in LA. And you know, I didn't want to throw it up, but she said, well, with or without you, I'm going. So I did. And we're still married. And it's awesome. Happy wife married. We hear that much. But it says in Ephesians 5:14, this is why it is said, wake up, sleeper, rise from the dead, and Christ will shine on you. The title of my lesson this morning is simply, wake up. Amen. It's one of those things that I felt I really, really needed to do. And, you know, how do you know if you spiritually need to wake up? You know, sometimes we can be spiritually asleep. We can be spiritually comatose. And we need something to just get us going. I got top 5 reasons of how we can tell if we're spiritually dead. And you can take notes of these, and you know, this is kind of like the pre-diagnosis state when you go to the doctor. First one is you have a shallow connection with God, or none at all. You think you know God, but you spend no time praying, you spend no time in the Word, and it's non-existent. Second one is you read your Bible maybe 2-3 times a week, just to kind of knock it off. So if anybody says, hey, you know, quiet time, did you read your Bible yet? Yeah, read my song, read my proverb. That was my quiet time. Exactly. You know, or 3, you pray only when you eat.
Wow.
Red light. Number 4, coming to church is a special occasion. Thanksgiving, Christmas, not Thanksgiving. Christmas, Easter, the 2 times we go. And of course, number 5 is it doesn't bother you to come to God empty-handed. Like Austin talked about in our contribution. But if you can turn with me to Luke 8, I'm going to kind of focus on this passage most of this morning. Now, if you suffer from any of these symptoms, here's a prescription, hopefully, that will get you back on track. So, Luke chapter 8, starting in verse 40. Now when Jesus returned, a crowd welcomed him, for they were all expecting him. Then a man named Jairus, a synagogue leader, came and fell at Jesus' feet, pleading with him to come to his house because his only daughter, a girl of about 12, was dying. So this is a heartbreaking story of a father with a dying daughter and his willingness to do whatever it took to help her. It says that he was a synagogue leader, yet he fell at Jesus' feet, most likely because he knew who exactly Jesus was. I don't know about you, but if my son was sick and dying, there's nothing I wouldn't do.
Yeah, that's right.
Give blood, give plasma, give my own life, whatever it would take for my child. So seeing a parent in this kind of a situation really kind of pulls on my heart. And imagine being Jairus, having this sick daughter, nothing to do. He was in charge of the synagogue and whatnot, but there was nothing for him to do. And he was hopeless. He probably felt very hopeless going to Jesus. And this past couple of weeks was really challenging for me because one of my good friends, one of the guys in my band, passed away about 3 weeks ago, 3-4 weeks ago. And it was really, really tough to wrap my head around it because you know, I had literally talked to him Sunday night before he passed. We were talking about the new album and all kind of stuff that we're doing. And then the next morning I get this call like, hey, y'all ready to wake up? So I just talked to him. You know, and he was crying and I knew it was real. And so it just hit me in the heart. Like, and this is a guy that, you know, I've known him for 25 years. I've reached out to him numerous times. And you know, whenever somebody passes, you always ask yourself, did I do enough? Did I push enough? Or was I too scared to be that pushy guy? Hey, you gotta study the Bible. You gotta come out to church. I kind of started feeling that remorse, but I remember one time, I actually got him to come to a midweek. And it was funny because I picked him up from the airport. We were supposed to go to the studio. I'm like, oh, I gotta make one stop real quick. So I stopped by Lee. He sat in the back, and of course everybody goes, hey, what's up? What are you doing? You know, and it was cool because he actually got to come out to service. So I'm like, okay, slowly but surely. And there's 3 of them, so I tried to get them all to come, but you know, I was hoping that this situation would kind of help with that, and we'll see what God's plan is for that. But, you know, whenever you experience death like that, it's a wake-up call. You realize life is short. You know, like holding bitterness or resentment towards people, it's for nothing. It's like keying your own car and lending the key. And I mean, I love the fact that whenever I think about the urgency, you know, that we need to have, having a heart full of loss, that really is what drove my heart and want to come to reach out to them. But you also get sentimental. You start wondering, like, well, I know his lifestyle. I know he wasn't really a disciple, but maybe. You know, we always have that maybe. I don't know. Only God can judge. You know, and I started to get really sentimental because he honestly was a good guy. You know, he didn't have any enemies or people that disliked him or anything. And I found myself compromising. And I really don't know for sure. You know, that's not for me to say. But you know, I pray for his family. It was really tough, but it was a very, very hard wake-up call for me. So with that, I can kind of feel this father's desperation and pain in his heart. Let's continue in verse 49. I'm going to try and fly through this. I know they told me I have an hour and a half.
Preach it, bro. Take it all the way.
In verse 49, while Jesus was still speaking, someone came to him from the house of Jairus, the synagogue leader. Your daughter is dead, he said. Don't bother the teacher anymore. Hearing this, Jesus said to Jairus, don't be afraid. Just believe and she will be healed. When he arrived at the house of Jairus, he didn't let anyone go in with him except Peter, John, and James, and the child's father and mother. Meanwhile, all the people were wailing and mourning for her. Stop wailing, Jesus said. She's not dead, but asleep. They laughed at him, knowing that she was dead. But he took her by the hand and said, my child, get up. Her spirit returned, and at once she stood up. Then Jesus told them to give her something to eat. Her parents were astonished, and he ordered them not to tell anyone what had happened. This is a pretty cranky story. This is one of those happy ending stories in the Bible. But the thing that always gets me in this passage is the hearts of the people around Jairus. You know, they tell him, oh no, don't waste Jesus' time. Your daughter is passed already. Leave him alone. You know, like it shows that they had no faith, that they had no hope that he would be able to do something. For them to outwardly laugh, like when he said she's just sleeping. It's like, seriously? My daughter just passed away and you're laughing and making jokes? But yet, Jesus didn't let any of that faze him. He goes in there and he rose her from the dead. So my first point, waking up from the dead. We'll try and get through all 3 of them, but if not, it's all good. So my question is, have you ever been, or maybe even now, felt spiritually dead? Maybe you've thought about God recently, maybe not at all. Maybe you're asking yourself, how can I have a heart like Jairus, where I just have this faith in God, where I can just put aside my pride, my ambitions, and just drop to my knees before Jesus? You know, my wife and I had those moments when we studied the Bible, because you know, we weren't dating. I mean, we weren't married at the time. We were just dating. And she was 7 months pregnant, so do the math. And we were like, we're about to get married. And they're like, you know, then we hit that awesome, encouraging study of light and darkness. And, you know, we all know what's coming. We all know that, well, you know, you guys aren't married, you're living together, and, you know, and we were like, weeping and crying, like, okay, fine, we'll do it. Driving home that night. Like, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. This single brother household was going to let me move in. There were like 5 brothers in their household. And I was like, oh my God. And I was like, okay, I'll do it. I'll do it for God. And of course, Satan gets in there. On the way home, we're crying. God knows our heart.
Oh, no.
And we didn't do anything, immoral or anything, but we didn't leave. And, it put a big damper on our commitment to God. Matthew 6:33, anyone does not give up anything he has. I wasn't willing to give her up. And, it took its toll on me. So it took about another year for us to kind of get it through our skull. I mean, we got married by that point, but there was still a lot of stuff in my heart that I wasn't willing to let go of. And so I was literally still dead. I was going to Bible talk, going to church every Sunday, asking, how come my name's not on the food assignment list for Bible talk? And I was like, just come. And it all worked out eventually. If I was a little bit more humble in my heart, we probably would have gotten baptized much sooner. But God had His plan for us. But when things aren't going the way that you hope for, and it takes you out, do you blame God? Do you think like, wow, who else can I blame for my situation? My discipler, person leading the church. We blame the church. Instead of blaming God, we blame the church. And I see that happen so much, where people, they put this barrier between your walk with God and God. It's called the church. And if somebody wrongs you, well, this is not my church. But God is still the same, but then we forget that they're just as sinful as we are. They're just as flawed as we are. I'll be the first to step up and say, I am a sinful man. I have wicked thoughts, I have selfish thoughts, I have impure thoughts, I have fits of rage. Ask my wife, she'll be glad to share the whole list with you, but I work on it. I get discipled on it. I fight through it all the time. Every D time it's like, I do it. I'm doing good, I need nothing. And, but I found that it's easier. It's easier, right, to blame other people because you don't have to take responsibility for your own actions. It's like, God, I've sacrificed. I sold my drum kit. I sold these shoes, sisters, for special missions. Where is my blessing? Where is my blessing? I've done a lot for God. I do sound every day. I song lead. I do Kingdom Kids every Sunday. Where's my blessing, God? Where's my husband? Where's my wife? But Revelations 3, verse 1.
Come on, bro. Preach, bro.
Waking up from the dead.
Come on, Rob.
I was going to go through a whole Walking Dead thing. I love it. It's one of my favorite shows. I might drop it in a little bit. Revelations 3, starting in verse 1. I got all the place too. I've been sick all weekend, so I was like taking Mucinex, drinking a lot of water and orange juice, and I feel okay. So if I start to hack and cough, they're deserved, so I apologize. So Revelations 3, verse 1. To the angel of the church in Sardis write, these are the words of him who holds the 7 spirits of God and the 7th star. I know your deeds. You have a reputation of being alive, but you are dead. How can somebody be alive and be dead? There have been times in my life where I thought I was alive spiritually, but I wasn't. Maybe you can relate. You go to church, but you're not really there. You go to midweek, but you're not really there. You're just kind of there in a physical sense, but your heart is on work, on school, or whatever else is on us. I've led a Bible talk and felt like this at times. I've led married ministries, I've led singles ministries, I've led regions, and I've still felt spiritually dead at times. And I look at all my deeds that I've done. Okay, when I first got restored in LA, and this is hilarious, I sat down with Kip, and he's like, so we really want you to help serve, because in Oahu Church I used to do sound. I did the video, we did all the printing and design work and things like that, banners and everything. I said, I don't want to do sound, I don't want to do video, I don't want to do a website, I just want to be a disciple. Is that okay? Absolutely. Absolutely. Awesome. 2 weeks later, I'm designing the bulletin, doing the sound, running the video camera, editing the sermons, uploading it to the website. And I was like, I see what you did there, bro. You got to use your talents for the kingdom, right? So I definitely did. But you know, I look at this and about having a heart that's just far from God and wanting to serve God. With Halloween approaching, you know, we love Halloween, but masks get involved. People like to put on costumes. People like to cosplay. You know, they dress up. They go to these conventions dressed up like Power Rangers. I don't know if any of you got to go to the GLC this year. But there was a Power Ranger conference. Zordon. I have kids like that with Power Rangers. But people like to wear masks. You know, they have the mask of deceit where it's like, oh, everything's all good. And they're all you know, and everything's bad. They have the mask of falsehood, like, wow, bro, your singing was awesome. Not saying it here, because the singing here was pretty awesome. But so just remember, I would take you back to us. But not really. And of course, the mask of self-righteousness. Hey, bro, how you doing? Oh, I'm doing good. How are you doing? Deflect it. Right. But, you know, whichever one you wear, you know, hopefully you're not wearing the Walking Dead mask. When you're a fully functioning member of society, and you come to church and you're like, oh, alive, and then you go back out of church. As soon as you step out those doors, you're just day job, you go home. There's no semblance of God anymore. Come on, bro. And I say that because you know, we can all get caught up like that. Like we get spiritual on Sundays, Wednesdays, and a Bible talk. Where you come in, it's like, hey, bro, how you doing? On church on Sundays, like, Jesus. And then you leave, and it's like, real talk. And I speak on that because it's something that we have to do to really overcome you know, this challenge and really wake ourselves up. In verse 2 of Revelations 3, it says, wake up, strengthen what remains and is about to die, for I have found your deeds unfinished in the sight of my God. Remember, therefore, what you have received and heard. Hold it fast and repent. But if you do not wake up, I will come like a thief, and you will not know at what time I will come to you. So when was the last time you thought about the day that you got baptized? And really remember that joy, that coming out of the water. Wow, I am sin-free at this moment. No sin in my heart, except not being prideful. This passage tells us to remember what we've received. Hold fast and repent. You know, typically when statements like this are being told to somebody, like, hey, remember your day after baptism. Because they're probably messing up. They're probably falling short, they've probably forgotten. You know, I unfortunately was baptized in an era where we didn't have smartphones, we didn't have cameras, so there's no proof of my baptism. It was at Alabama Beach Park. It was about, I think, 10 o'clock at night. It was dark. I remember walking out, you know, I'm the one that's like shallow, so you gotta like really walk out there to get enough depth to get baptized. But I think about it all the time. Last time we went to Oahu, it was on our anniversary, and we drove out there to the beach, and we were just sitting there and going, wow, this is where our life changed. My wife got baptized in a jacuzzi. Not as cool as I want to be, you know, why you gotta get baptized. But I don't know, I look at that and I mean, I look at the scripture about they're being called to remember. You know, scholars tell us that this was written to the church in Sardis, and it was one of the first churches to actually stray away from Christianity. And then it's followed up with that warning. It says, but if you do not wake up, I will come like a thief, and you will not know at what time I will come to you. And so you hear people that always say, hey, I want to live life to the full. Then I'll come to you. A lot of younger people. You know, it's like, hey, I want to just go to school, live that college life, live life, and then when I have some time to settle, then I'll come to God. Then I'll give it up to God, you know. And it's tough because that's not exactly how Jesus works. You know, we're going to be oversleeping the day that Jesus decides to come back. You know, imagine. Wake up is a topic for me that's really dear because I'm one of those guys that my phone alarm, I have like 4. And I've had to write in stuff to poke at my pride. Like I have the first one at like 5:30. Wake up, 5:45. Hey, wake up, have a quiet time. 6 o'clock. Okay, seriously, just get up and go shower. And my last one is at 6:30. It says, I'm done with you, be late. So I appeal to my own prideful nature, like, I ain't gonna be late. So I ain't gonna be late. But that's snooze button. That just every time. And think about people that you study the Bible with, and when they kind of resist, and they're not sure they want to make the commitment to become a disciple. They're not sure if they want to seek God with all their heart. That's like, hit that snooze button. But you still gotta be there. Be there 10 minutes later and say, are you ready now? Snooze, okay. 10 minutes later. Hey, are you ready now? Because you never know what's going to happen in somebody's life. You never know what God is going to make happen or allow to happen to them to bring them to their knees. My second point, wake up and smell the roses. The whole meaning of this phrase, because I had to look it up, is to appreciate life and the beauty of the world around us. To realize and appreciate what really matters. And the first time this was said was back in 1945. And it's a mixture of 2 phrases, actually. And I mean, I kind of geek out on this kind of stuff because I love Googling stuff. Ask my wife. Every time she asks me something, I say, Google is your friend. And she doesn't think it's fun. But, stop and smell the roses actually comes from, stop and smell the roses, or wake up and smell the coffee. Little thing like that, that's free. Turn with me to Colossians chapter 2.
Come on, bro.
I wanted to touch on this because sometimes we just get caught up, in our whole lives and what we're doing right now. And you gotta ask yourself, am what I'm doing right now with my life that important, or I can't put God first? Is my school, is my career, is my relationship, is my family worth so much more that I'm willing to push snooze on God? Colossians 3 verse 15. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, since as members of one body you were called to peace, and be thankful. Let the message of Christ dwell among you richly as you teach and admonish one another with all wisdom through psalms, hymns, and songs from the Spirit, singing to God with gratitude in your hearts. And whatever you do, whether in word or deed, do it all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through Him. One thing I do whenever I do any kind of Bible study is I read this passage over and over. Even when I started doing quiet times when I first became a disciple, I would just read over and over just to try to get as much as I can from any given scripture. And I look at this verse 1, it says, and be thankful. It's like, oh, okay. That's what's said on some of my Bible. I had a physical Bible before I highlighted it. I mean, I highlighted it digitally too. But, it says, be thankful. 3 simple words, but it carries so much weight. When you really stop and think about it. And be thankful. Think about the day that you didn't have a job. And you get that call. Maybe it's from Starbucks, McDonald's, wherever. You get that call. I got the interview. And you're fired up. And then you go into the interview, you're like, yes, ma'am. I love McDonald's. I love it. Eat it all the time. And you sell yourself. Then you get hired. Then they offer you the job. And you're like, yes. And then what happens 6 months after? You're like, man, I need to pay more for this. And then we start to lose our gratitude. Like I got a cranky job working for a pharmaceutical company, and now I make decent money, but sometimes I'm like, man, I really need more. And then I had to stop and think about this very, very constantly. Go, you know what? When I didn't have anything, I was grumbling. Now I have the job and I'm still grumbling. That's probably what God said with the Israelites when they were in the desert. Oh God, we have no manna, we have no food. Here's the manna. Boom. Oh, thank you, God. Oh, I need meat. Okay, every time we grumble for something, God provides it for us. But we always find a reason to grumble. That's just human nature. But I think we get like that when we're not grateful for the things that we do have. Sometimes I get grateful that I can walk. I'm a very irritable person, so like when I go to the mall, at least in LA, you gotta park really far. Like here, like I've been to the Macy's over here. I literally told my wife, look, 8 people. I literally drove over 6 people. 8 people over in Macy's. But in LA, you gotta park far, and I gotta psych myself. I said, well, at least I can walk. At least I can walk that 50 yards in front of her, you know? And I get grateful. I get grateful for my health. I get grateful that, you know, I don't have arthritis. My wife used to work at the Arthritis Foundation. I used to see these people that have such a hard time with life. And man, you want to get grateful, go spend some time in the hospital. Go volunteer for a nonprofit, cancer walk, muscular dystrophy walk, something. Be around people that have way less than you. And see how fast you turn out. I promise you, it's going to really, really work. But as followers of Christ, I mean, this is how we can become. We can become complacent in our hearts, and we, you know, like when we first come to church, it's all awesome. Like everybody wants to hug us, and they want to get to know you better. Like, wow, that's cool for you to wear. And then, you know, after about 3 months, it's like, hey, bro. Crisis.
Not here.
Come on, Brian. Come on, Brian. That's why people leave churches.
Yeah.
Because I don't like this church, like this is family. Our ministries that my wife and I have always led, they've never really like super grown fruitfully. We've always had steady growth because we've always believed in first. We kind of took that to the mainland with us, and you know, we barbecue all the time. We have movie nights, we have game nights, and we just do stuff. My wife likes to take the sisters shopping. So she developed shopping.
He's a queen, bro.
Guys, I like to play golf. I like video games, you know, so we would have guys come over, watch football, watch the Rams have a 4-0 season. Throwing that out there. But, you know, we do good. But then Satan starts to work in our lives, and then we go, we gotta be at every midweek service. I get off at 7 o'clock on Wednesday. Sometimes we're like, man, Bible talk tonight. Can I just go on Sunday? You know, and we start to compromise. And we start to rationally like, say, you know what? I need more me time. And I don't have the notes, but I had this formula where I added up the hours in a week, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And it was a certain number, 200 something. And then it's like, okay, you spend 2 hours for church, maybe 2 hours for Bible talk, 2 hours for midweek. And I weighed it out. It was like 9%, 8% of our week that we give to God. And we complain so much about that little 8, 9%. And those are the same people that struggle with giving that 10% to God. You know what I mean? And we got to reflect on that, and it's scary. We need the Word of God in our hearts. That's why I love doing the first principles. And some of us, we've been disciples for so long, we lose sight of what we agreed to. We said Jesus is Lord. That was a verbally binding contract to His Word. We will seek Him with all of our heart. We will love Him. We will be patient. We will love. We will not be envious. We will not be boastful. We will not be proud. All of this stuff that's in the Bible, that's where you commit to. You know, when you download an app for your phone and you're like, oh yeah, and you have this long legal agreement that nobody reads. Except you can read the fine print. You do see the benefits of reading our scriptures, reading the Bible, and what we agree to. It's awesome. It's really, really awesome. My third point, I'm just going to jump straight to it. Waking up from a deep sleep. Turn with me to Romans chapter 13. In verse 11, it says, and do this, understanding the present time. The hour has already come for you to wake up from your slumber, because our salvation is nearer now than when we first believed. The night is nearly over. The day is almost here. So let us put aside the deeds of darkness and put on the armor of light. Now, the context of this passage is speaking about submission to authorities, paying taxes, repaying debts, and whatnot. But in verse 9, part 2, let's read that really quick. It says, and whatever other command there may be are summed up in this one command. Love your neighbor as yourself. Love does no harm to a neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfillment of the law. You know, we're in a church that we love our neighbors. In Hilo, they have a Bring Your Neighbor Day service today.
Yeah.
Why do we have Bring Your Neighbor Day services? So we can show our neighbors, hey, the Bible tells us that we need to love you. So guess what? I'm going to love you. Barking dog at the middle of the night. I still love you. One thing we don't have in LA, like I was staying in Hilo, chicken. No, rooster, not chicken. Roosters.
Yeah.
One, I was at my friend Shane's house sleeping. I think they had like one chicken. And oh my gosh. And the Poke Frogs.
Oh, yeah.
That's next to me. But the text in verse 11 and 12, it calls us to wake up because each day we're getting closer to salvation. Stop and think about that for a second. Like, I'm closer today than I was 25 years ago to salvation. What does that really mean? I'm closer to dying now more than I am ever in my life.
Yeah.
And it's scary. It's scary, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I look at anybody that desires to really seek after God with all their hearts. If you don't run into obstacles, then there's something wrong.
Yeah.
I always appreciate like when you're in a Bible study with somebody and they're going good, and then all of a sudden they have a situation, something in their life, like, oh, you know, I work on Sundays, or you know, I live with my girlfriend, or you know, I smoke, or something like that. And it's like, oh, amen, okay, that's awesome. Let's use the Bible to see what it says about these things.
Yeah.
And we have the opportunity to share with them, to help them wake up, in a sense. Not like throw the cold water on them, but like the, hey. That's why I have to wake up my wife, because if I go, babe, she's like, I mean, that's been a while. But now I'm like, hey, they got a call, you know, they wanted us there at 9 o'clock. I'm not throwing my wife under the bus. I stay there for her. She did take a little longer to get ready this morning. And I didn't realize that people would Kona drive 35 miles. Yeah, so. But let's go on in Isaiah chapter 60.
Come on, girl. It's done. Yeah.
You know, some people are just early risers. You know, this past couple of days, we've been early risers because our body's still acclimated to LA time, and I have to be at work at 7, so I'm up at like 5:30. So 5:30 there is 2:30 here.
Yeah.
So like, what is it? Friday morning, 1 o'clock, I'm in bed. Oh my! I force myself to sleep. Okay, let me read. I'm reading. Okay, read CNN. I never talk about politics. It made me want to go to sleep. And it's hard, man. Like, I wake up today with like, okay, I'm gonna get up early. I woke up at 5:30. Maybe sleep another hour. But then when you go to sleep, you forget to set the alarm. Oh, 7:30. Oh, gotta get ready. But Isaiah chapter 60, verse 1. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord rises upon you. See, darkness covers the earth, and thick darkness is over the peoples. But the Lord rises upon you, and his glory appears over you. Nations will come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your dawn. Wow. Is your light shining this morning? For all of Kona, I didn't realize how big Kona was. Yeah. I mean, I'm used to going to the airport, to the hotel, to wherever the show was, but driving all over, I'm like, dude, God, this place is huge. And you have like one Walmart, one Target, I think you have one Safeway. I mean, it's like nothing to do here. So I'm like, okay, it's pretty big, but now imagine a vast area like that, and you have a couple flashlights. Wow. Is your flashlight dim? Or is it bright enough to make it go? There's a light over there. Let's go to David's house.
Yeah,
you get the blue light, right? And it's serves coconut. But I love this because it challenges us to shine.
Yeah,
You know, the Bible also talks about, don't shine a lamp and put a cover on it.
Yeah.
Because that's what we do when we put that mask on.
Yeah.
When we leave service, the Spirit of God is not with us. We go about and say, you know what, I love God, but I'm not going to show that because I want to keep this to myself. That's not what a lamp does. That's what we're supposed to do. Or are you a black man? You can see all the flaws in everybody else. You put a black light over a bed. It's like, pre-kingdom beds. Gross. You look on the floor, you see all the stains. Are we so quick to see other people's flaws, but we never look at ourselves? That's the kind of life. But I look at that, and it says, nations will come to your light. I mean, look at Kona will come to your light. Like, you guys are truly the only home for the city. I know a lot of people out here, and I'm sure you all do too. It's okay. It's okay. I was ready for the special entertainment. But can you honestly say, I'm doing everything I can to be the brightest light that I can be different? Or am I just going to let David and that? But that's their job. They lead the church, let them shine. I'll just kind of come over with my stick, get a little bit of their fire, and take it home. But you have your own. You're fanning your own fire. That's why I'm grateful to have such an awesome wife. Like, my fire is like not even a flame; it's just a hot stick. She's like, honey. She's fanning it. I'm supposed to be the one fanning her, but she lifts me up. So perfectly when you find an awesome wife. Right. You're only gonna shine when you're close to God. There's no way to shine any other way. You can fake it, but God will not be mocked. You can come up here, do a communion, preach a lesson, be in complete sin, immorality, you name it. Nobody will know. God will know. And God will not be mocked. And I look at that, it's a scary thing. It's really a scary thing when you look at that, if we're shining or not. So that's the question I want to leave you guys with. Have you been shining? Did somebody hurt you and that's why your light is dim? Did somebody offend you in service by discipling the truth? You're struggling with sin, but you were very straight up about it. And you got an attitude like, tell me what to do. I don't know, I wear shorts to church.
Oh, no.
That was a total waste. I thought Kona it's okay to wear shorts, and Dave was like, if you get slacks, that's good. I'm like, dirty. And luckily it wasn't all like, because all my pants was dirty from all the sweat and the not me. I'm wet right now. My skin is like, only in Kona. So don't wait too long and reignite that fire. How does somebody do that? I'm glad you asked. I got 3 simple steps. If you're visiting with us this morning, ask the person that brought you out, hey, study the Bible. Don't let them ask you. You go ask them, hey, study the Bible. Tell me more about how can I ignite my fire? If you are a disciple of Jesus Christ, think back to when you first got baptized. Think about that day. Write some notes out. What was your heart? What were you thinking? What was the biggest joy for you? And write it down. And the last thing, see what you can do to encourage someone that you know might be struggling. We all know somebody that's having a challenging walk with God. Nobody's perfect. I've been to a number of churches, and there's always somebody that's not having such an easy go at it. Having a hard time reading, having a hard time just connecting with God. Are you being a shepherd to that person and saying, hey, let's go to the beach. Let's go pray at the beach. I wish we had nice beaches like this in LA. Our beaches are lame. I've been in the water one time in LA, and it was for a baptism. And I got out and I was like, it was gross. But you gotta do that. You gotta connect with people and show them you care and say, hey, let's pray together. You know what? Let me buy you breakfast. If you ever struggle struggling, just go see Dave. He'll take you to a restaurant, buy you a local food or something. Way to a man's heart is through his stomach. Sisters, I don't know, you gotta go shopping. So, my first point, waking up from the dead. You can't be spiritually dead and on fire for God at the same time. My second point, wake up and smell the roses, because you just have to appreciate how much God has done for you in your life. And lastly, waking up from a deep sleep. It's time to set that alarm and wake up, guys. I'm super appreciative that Dave asked me to come preach for you guys. I love you guys, and to God be the glory.